where exactly is Millcreek? Millcreek was actually established in 2016, so it's a relatively new city, and it's always been just part of Salt Lake City. So when you are shopping in Millcreek, you'll actually notice a lot of the addresses are still Salt Lake City addresses because they share the same zip code. So Millcreek itself is just below South Salt Lake, touches Salt Lake on the east corner, and then you have Holiday and Midvale beneath it. So it's a little tricky, and then there's a little point of Millcreek that's actually on the west side of I-15, but just a little sliver of it. But the core of Millcreek really is between 4500 South and I-80, and it's kind of a weird shape. So it's tricky to find, but it is beautiful. Millcreek's median sales price, though, for a single-family home is $690, and that's because there's some more affordable homes closer to State Street. And right now we're standing in Olympus Cove, which is home to some of the most beautiful homes with an entry-level price of $1 million just to get into the neighborhood, up to multi-million-dollar homes. But with this view, I totally get it. Olympus Cove was really developed in the early 1950s, 1960s, and 70s, so you have a lot of really fun mid-century modern homes, and people are taking some of those homes, completely remodeling them to today's standards, or they're tearing them to the ground and building brand new homes. So you get a great mix of eclectic, fun, charming homes up here in Olympus Cove. Living, dining, and playing in Millcreek, Utah is fantastic. You have all the shopping you need, and you have a lot of one-off single restaurants that you're only gonna get in Millcreek. So if you are a foodie, you're gonna love Millcreek. Plus, with the access to downtown Salt Lake, you have access to some of the best restaurants in the state. We are currently standing in the Brickyard Plaza, which has a ton of shopping. It is right on the border of South Salt Lake and Millcreek, and the borderline kind of goes in between. So where I'm standing technically is South Salt Lake, just because of the shading. But the Brickyard Plaza has all your shopping. It has Harmon's, which is a locally owned grocery store that's a little higher end. It's kind of like Trader Joe's. It's our own personal one, or Whole Foods. So if you're thinking higher end, nicer grocery store, Harmon's is where it's at. So speaking of shopping in Millcreek, this is actually one of my favorite stores in Millcreek. It's called Name Droppers, and it's a high-end luxury consignment store, and you never know what you're gonna find. So I really like it. But one thing to keep in mind when you are searching for anything in Millcreek is Millcreek is still part of Salt Lake, so you still have a Salt Lake zip code. So a lot of stores opt to have that Salt Lake address instead of Millcreek. So when you're shopping and looking for spaces in Millcreek, also look at Salt Lake. We're currently standing on Highland Drive, which is one of the longest streets. It goes all the way from Draper, has a couple breaks up until Salt Lake, and then turns into 1100 East. But Highland Drive has awesome shopping. So if you are exploring Utah and want to get a good feel for it, take a drive down Highland Drive to get a better idea of what Utah's all about. So one thing that's really cool about Millcreek is it is in the process of really being redeveloped and redefined. There's a lot of construction going on. We're getting a lot more shopping, a lot more dining, and a lot more housing, and a lot more higher density housing, which is great because where we are located, we are just 15 minutes from Salt Lake on surface streets. So we're talking downtown Salt Lake, and we're about 20 minutes from the airport. So really awesome location when it comes to living, working, and dining in the Salt Lake Valley because of its location. And it's going through the process so you can get more affordable options. If you are looking for housing in Millcreek, one of the most charming things about it is it was established around 1940 in development. So you have a lot of charming tree-lined streets with the huge, almost 100-year-old trees. Super cute. So right now we're actually standing in front of my grandparents' first home that they built in 1944 before they moved out of Salt Lake County up to Bountiful. Millcreek wasn't actually called Millcreek until recently. It was just kind of a suburb of Salt Lake, and in 2016 it turned into its own city and became its own townships. A lot of Millcreek addresses have a Salt Lake City zip code, so people still use Salt Lake City as the city that they're in, even though it is in Millcreek. which I think is a disservice, because if I am shopping with a buyer, there's a lot of areas of Salt Lake that we're not interested in, but we are definitely interested in Millcreek, and Millcreek has this charm. So when it comes to housing in Millcreek, mainly it's single family homes built between 1940 up until now. We have new construction happening, but a lot of the new construction is tear down, where they'll take an older home, tear it down, and build a newer home. Right now we're standing in what is considered a wartime neighborhood. Right after World War II, a lot of these smaller subdivisions popped up where they have a little bit smaller lots and houses that really work for commute time into Salt Lake and living, and these homes are charming. Now when it comes to pricing, it is not cheap to live in Millcreek. The entry level for single family homes is medium price right now, $690,000, which is more expensive than the average for the county as a whole, but that is because this area is super desirable. If you can find a townhome, they're gonna start about $500,000, and if you can find a condo, they're starting around $380,000. So a little more expensive area to live in the Salt Lake Valley, but given its location to downtown, to the airport, and just living, it's a great area to live. If you've been following and you want to know more about Utah and real estate, reach out. We are locally born and raised here in Utah. We know all the secrets, all the tricks, and if you're looking to buy a house, reach out. We'd love to help you out. Living in Millcreek gets you into the Granite School District, which has a B- rating on niche.com. But you have access to two of the best high schools in the state with Olympus and Skyline. Right now we're standing in front of Skyline, and it has an A rating on niche.com, and Olympus also has an A rating. So when it comes to shopping, again, make sure you're checking the local school of the house you're looking at, because Granite comes all the way from here on the east side of Salt Lake all the way to the west side where Kearns is, and that is what is bringing the score down for Granite School District. The Kearns area has a C rating for a lot of the schools, but the schools here in Millcreek are very high rated, and that probably attributes to some of the higher purchase prices when it comes to housing in Millcreek. One really cool thing about Millcreek is you are up on the East Bench, and you have access to some pretty cool hiking trails and Millcreek Canyon, which we're gonna take you on a tour of a cabin up Millcreek Canyon that is so charming. So I'm excited to show you it, but let's check out the trail. If you've been following us long enough, you know we are obsessed with mountains and the views and the hikes. When it comes to things to do in Millcreek, they have Millcreek Common, which is an open air market. They have a farmer's market every Wednesday. They have an open air skate rink, and they get food trucks, and it's super charming just in downtown Millcreek area. There's lots of really fun dining in Millcreek. You can't go wrong living and playing in Millcreek. I'm really excited for today's home tour. Today we are going to show you this adorable cabin that was built in 1934, 912 square feet, and it's $400,000 just up in Millcreek Canyon, and it is so cute and charming. Let's go check it out. Now this cabin is super special because it's very rare to have a cabin in Salt Lake Valley. This one is actually on a land lease from the National Forest Service, which the homeowner owns the cabin, and then they pay $3,000 a year to lease the land from the Forest Service. It has a renewal period every so many years, and so far so good. The Forest Service continues to renew, but this is just 15 minutes from Millcreek and 20 minutes from downtown. It has only summer access, so it does not have access in the winter unless you want to use some snowmobiles, but it is a charming area. Check out the cabin. Thank you for joining us on our tour of Millcreek, Utah. Hopefully you learned something new, want to explore Utah further. My team and I help people relocate to Utah all the time. We help with buying, selling, building, and investing, and we'd love to help you out. If you'd like to get a hold of us, reach out on the phone number and email below.